All right, guys, friend of the show. Simply put, our next guest is a coach of champions from Luke Rockhold, Kane, DC, Khabib, and now Islam Makhachev. Coach Javier Mendez, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to Submission Radio, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate it,
Always
man.
a pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Always fun when you come on, man. Dude, there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, the lightweight division's heating up. Islam versus Charles has been officially announced. And then, obviously, we want to talk about UFC 291 this past weekend, where Justin Gaethje was able to avenge the loss to Dustin Poirier and win the BMF belt. Dude, I gotta wonder, man, like from a world champion striker in yourself, what did you think of the adjustments that Justin made to be able to score that insane head kick?
I thought it was great. I could have wondered how his coach must have been feeling all along, trying to get him to fight like this, and finally got it into his head to not just be a highlight reel where it goes bad on one side, mostly him sometimes, where if you do correct fighting, correct hand positioning, correct control, you'll get better results for you, in winning. And I think he finally got it, and it was very impressive. Right off the bat, you could tell he made the adjustments that were needed, and it was still a very fun fight, but he made the adjustments, and he kept his composure, and he landed that beautiful strike followed by the kick, that the same thing happened to his sparring partner, Kamaru Usman, but Leon Edwards did the same thing to him, the exact same thing. And it was almost exact same result, huh?
And in Salt Lake City too. How about that? The city of head kicks. It's no longer Salt Lake City. What do you think of Justin's legacy in career, man? Because I know you guys obviously got ready to fight him with Khabib, but he's kind of has this unique legacy, right? Where it's like he never really sort of held the world title, but he's kind of one of the most beloved guys to do it at lightweight, and he's kind of had these weird peaks and valleys that most fighters don't really come out of, where they get stuck in a certain style or they get a few losses and it's hard to bounce back from that. Here we're sort of seeing him reinvent his style and kind of change things up towards maybe the later part of his career.
Yeah, normally when they stick to that style that was been working for him, you normally don't see a change. So to see the change, it's pretty impressive that he still has that fire in him to make a change and make his professional life a better one, and he's done that. So it's very impressive to watch. And I don't know, I think he's a great guy. I don't know him personally, but I think he's a great guy from everything I see and hear that he does. He's a good guy.
100%, man. He's one of the good ones, and he's just like a fighter's fighter. I wonder, man, like what do you think of, say, this Justin Gaethje versus the one that you prepared for with Khabib? And obviously he's gunning for that title shot. How different or similar do you think that fight could look between, say, him and Islam?
Well, Islam and Khabib are different entire fighters, so that I don't know how that fight would be, but Khabib was Khabib. To me, there was no one like Khabib. So to whoever Khabib was going to face, he was going to destroy. That's just the way I felt about him. And but he proved my point. He did it.
How do you think they match up, though, Islam and Justin Gaethje?
They match up really well. Because the one thing Justin has is kept himself in control. The one area where he probably doesn't match up with Islam is going to definitely be the ground. I don't think his ground is as good. The stand-up, I think they match up really well in the stand-up. I really do.
Do you? Sorry to jump in there, Dennis. Do you think we might see a lot more stand-up in this fight than, say, against Khabib? Because with Khabib, like, he took the fight down like pretty quickly, and then it was just an insane domination. But like as we saw in the Volkanovski fight, like Islam's striking has really, really come a long way. Do you? I don't foresee it being a case where Islam will just have to shoot straight away to get away from Gaethje striking. I feel like they can be super competitive on the feet.
Yes, the difference between Islam and Khabib is Khabib was so strong on the ground, and his stand up was good, but it wasn't great, but it was very good. It was. I never wanted Khabib to utilize something that he wasn't as good at when I knew he was the best on the ground. So I always pushed for him to take the person down because I felt that was where he would be the most dominant. And I like secure wins. I don't like barn burners, like the highlight reel type scenario. I don't like that. So I didn't want to ever be put in that position with Khabib. And the difference between that and these guys is that, Islam is a better stand-up all the way around. Khabib got good in the boxing area, and he's starting to get the knees and kicking, but he wasn't quite proficient enough there like Islam.
I got to find out from you, Coach. Obviously, you're not booking the fights. You're just, a part of the team with Islam and behind Islam's incredible success. But if it was up to you, do you think Justin could be next after Charles if things go to plan against Charles at UFC 294?
If you're talking, if it was up to me,
yeah.
What I would want, I'd want Alex.
Really? You guys would prefer Alex over Justin?
Yeah, I would. I'd want Alex.
Beautiful. All right.
You're saying me though, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about my personal pick. I'd want Alex, and then after Alex, if we're successful, I'd want the welterweight title.
All right.
Hold on. Sorry, Cass, to jump in. Just on that, I just want to know, just for people that might be wondering, why is that, Coach?
Well, because there's still unfinished business with Alex in my mind. There's still unfinished business. There's no clarity. In our eyes, it was clear, but there's just too much uncertainty. And on top of that, I hate to say it, but that fight delivered. That fight delivered. It was supposed to be, one of the great fights between two greats, and it turned out to be exactly that. Two champions got in there, and it was a championship quality caliber fight. But there's still undecidedness on the other side, and I want to prove that we are the better fighter. So I myself personally would want that fight for that reason, because that it's a challenge. Because Alex is a huge challenge. And I like that. I like that.
Isn't it incredible how going into that first fight, people thought, Islam's just going to be so dominant, and people were just writing Volk off. And now it's almost like the rematch that everybody wants to happen. I love seeing this, man. Obviously, we were there in person for the first fight. It was just unreal.
Yeah.
How likely do you think that could be the direction that the UFC goes?
I think that there's a good chance that the UFC goes in that direction, because that's a great fight to make. But also, you can't deny Justin Gaethje's performance either. So obviously he's right in line there too. Who knows what the UFC is gonna do? But you guys asked me my pick, and that's my pick. Because I want to see that finished. I want to see that. Let's go. Let's finish this thing. But let's face it. We got a very dangerous Charles Oliveira in our hands, and for me to be thinking outside of that is stupid. And I'm not really thinking outside of that, only because you guys asked me.
Of course, yeah.
I'm only focused on Charles. I'm not really thinking about Alex or Justin. I'm just thinking, okay, Charles. You got to be ready for Charles, because Charles is a different fighter than he was last time. He appears to be more motivated, and that's a very dangerous fighter.
It's funny though, like now that you say that, I didn't even really cross my mind, but now that you say that, I almost feel like after the fight, Justin, he kind of shot down Conor McGregor's, he didn't really shoot it down, but he's just like, I'm not going to fight a guy on steroids. He wasn't as interested as, say, a lot of other people in the past would have kind of like jumped at the opportunity, like, yes, I want the Conor McGregor fight, which is super admirable. He wants that world title, but man, it's almost like it's a great opportunity. It almost seems like it would have benefited him. Because if it goes, say, Charles, and if you guys win, and then if you guys fight Alex, Justin could have had like a great opportunity in the meantime, right?
Yeah, if you look at it from that point of view, if the UFC would allow him to fight McGregor, I mean, the UFC decides who they're going to put up with who. We can, we can play matchmakers all we want. That doesn't mean anything. The UFC decides who they're going to put in front of you, and we decide whether we accept it or not. But they decide who they're going to want you to fight.
If Justin does fight Islam, are we getting him to put up the BMF title on his side of the things? Are we? There's just something about seeing Islam walking around with the BMF belt.
I see zero interest in the BMF title. It means nothing to Islam, and it should mean nothing to him. He's the champ. It's that there's nothing more important than the champ. To me, the champ is the BMF. So to me, BMF, whatever, you can make whatever kind of titles you want to make. The real champ is Islam. And just like, when you got the interim champion, just because the other champion can't fight within 3 months, so all of a sudden you got an interim title. Well, who gives a damn? Yair Rodriguez was not the real champ. Alex was the champ. So I don't understand why they make a interim title. That's not a real title. That to me, that was a fight for the title. So the number one contendership. That's the way I look at it. But hey, people do what they do to create interest, and without a title behind certain things, not that many people view it. That's why the main events, you notice they're 5-rounders instead of 3-rounders, even though there's no title, because they're main events, so they want it to be something. I guess there's interest in that. That's why people watch it, But for me, unless it's the championship bout, the others mean nothing to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing like the world title, right? And I just want to bring this up because obviously we're at this rematch with Charles Oliveira. But before that got locked in, we saw Islam was, challenging Leon Edwards for UFC 294 to sort of fight. And speaking of challenges, you guys don't shy away from a challenge. You just mentioned, you wanted Alex because he brings an interesting fight to Islam. And we saw Islam sort of looking at potentially wanting to fight Leon because I'm guessing you guys would be excited about the challenge against Leon Edwards as well. But when that happened, I was wondering, was it Islam really wanting to fight Leon Edwards, or was it also kind of like a little bit of a move to get Charles Oliveira to confirm whether or not he'd be fighting at UFC 294?
I don't think so. Islam doesn't play those kind of games. I think Islam just stated what he wanted. I just think that if the UFC would have gave him the welterweight title opportunity, Islam would have taken it, because I do know one thing. Islam has stated he wants to fight the lightweight division, but he wants to challenge himself and get the welterweight title. And it's not about Leon. It's about the title. So whoever holds that title one particular time, Islam's going to want that title shot. And that's still the case as far as I know. I don't think he if you ask me what Islam would want over anybody, I would tell you he'd probably want the welterweight title over anybody. Me, I want the Alex fight, but I think Islam, he'd want the welterweight title, because that's a big statement. For me, I just want to clear up the thoughts of who's who. That's all. I want to clear it up. And in my mind, it is clear, but I want everybody to know it's clear.
Since at the time the Alex fight wasn't really, looking like it was the most likely scenario, the rematch, were you a bit bummed out that the call out kind of didn't really go anywhere for welterweight against Leon?
No, I wasn't. No, we've been in the game too long to get bummed out about anything. We just go right with it. I mean, I've been in situations where Khabib is getting offered to fight Eddie Alvarez. He's getting the next title shot. And next thing you know, Khabib's contract's no good, and it's Conor in there, and it's like, what the hell's going on? So I'm used to that kind of stuff where those things are played. So I don't really, don't really care, to be honest with you, until the UFC announces the fight. That's when I know, okay, it's real. If they don't announce it, nothing's real. All this talk means nothing. That's why I'm always careful. When I know certain things, right? But I have to be careful what I say, because if it's not announced by the UFC, it's not legit, even though it appears like it might be. It really isn't until they announce it. Then you go, okay, that's real. So I've done things where I knew the answer, but I pretend like I don't know the answer, because until the UFC announces it, there's really no clear-cut answer. And I don't want to go, well, I think it's going to be this guy, right? Because then you're leading everybody to that scenario. So I rather just let the UFC announce it than discuss it after when it's official.
And even when the UFC announced it, might not be official.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker.
That's what I was thinking.
So you never know what's official, really.
Yeah. You got a good point. You
never know what's going to happen.
Never know. Yeah.
I know you're focused on Charles, but you would have had to sort of briefly think about it for a second when you saw Islam call out Leon Edwards. When you just have those initial thoughts about how that fight goes, what kind of plays through your head?
Well, that was Islam's first sparring with Leon when Leon came to us back in 2015. That was the very first person Islam got to spar. And Islam asked me, Coach, who is this guy? I go, he's a striker. He goes, oh, okay. So that's all it was. So I didn't tell Islam anything. I didn't tell Leon anything. They just sparred, and they went at it fairly good, and that's kind of where they could fight with each other because they've sparred one time, and so they more or less know what they can do with each other. They know that the power's there for both sides, and he knows what he's talking about when wanting to fight at that division because he's tested himself with bigger guys. So Islam knows, so. That's just a good match for him, and Leon is becoming a great champion. I mean, to be Kamaru Usman 2 times. The first time, kind of flukish in a way, but the second time, I didn't see the second fight, but from what I heard, it was no fluke at all. He actually really won, so that's pretty impressive. Kamaru, I think, is one of the greatest of all time in the welterweight division, right there with GSP, if not better.
Oh, without a doubt. It's also like crazy and almost hilarious imagining like Islam and Leon sparring together all the way back in 2015 because it's just like it's so long ago. Like their careers have gone in such like such different places now. Now both champions and stuff. I wonder though, like before they knew much about each other, like what was that early sparring like? How competitive was it?
Well, it was what it was. That was a long time ago. They're different fighters now, whole different ball game now. Leon didn't know how to wrestle whatsoever back then. He didn't know how to wrestle whatsoever, and in all honesty, he didn't really get much from us at all. Period, because he came in really like a month out, before his fight. So to train with us to learn how to wrestle in 1 month. That's really unrealistic, to be honest with you. So honestly speaking, he got nothing from us. What if he got anything? He got like, don't leave home. bring the people you need to you. Don't go somewhere else where it's useless. And it's a waste of his time. If you want my opinion, it was a waste of his time.
We've got to ask, who do you think Islam ends up fighting for the welterweight belt, Leon or Colby?
Leon.
Really? You think he defends? Why is that?
Well, because Colby shoots off well, but Leon does what Leon says. Colby's in denial half the time when he loses a fight and thinks he won. He's a great marketer. Who I would want? Of course, I'd want the guy that creates the most noise, which is Colby. But who I think is Leon. I think Leon's stand-up is too sharp for Colby. And the wrestling that Colby has, I think is going to be good, but can he implement it? If he can implement it, then we're talking a different game, right? But if he can't implement his wrestling against Leon, he's in trouble. He's not gonna hang with him. He's not. I don't care what kind of bull he's gonna say. He'll maybe do good 1 round, maybe go 1.5 rounds, but at some point, Leon will get the rhythm if he keeps the stand up, and he's going to get caught.
Fascinating, man. Dude, I can't wait to see that fight and see how it goes down. Speaking of getting caught, want to catch a couple of flights over to France? Want to see the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, live and in person? Well, our good friends from Fanzo, who help you find the best venues and pubs for sporting events in your local area. Yeah, that's right. Those guys are giving away that exact opportunity. Not only do they help you with all that kind of good stuff, but they've launched the Asahi Check-In Challenge in the lead up to the highly anticipated Rugby World Cup in France to create the ultimate experience for sports and rugby fans. That's you. By simply checking in at participating venues, you guys unlock some awesome prizes to be claimed when you visit. All you got to do is download the Fanzo app and head to the Asahi Rugby World Cup 2023 home page. You check in at your local participating venue, or any venue for that matter, and you instantly go into the draw for a chance to win one of 2 trips to the Rugby World Cup France 2023 in final. But how's this? It's not all. Whether you win or not is irrelevant, because you also instantly win a free 300ml Asahi Super Dry while stocks last, and everybody knows Asahi is fantastic. Use the link in the bio to download the app and start checking in, and hopefully see you guys in France.
Dude, that's a win-win situation right there. Not only do you potentially win a trip to France, not only do you get to go to the best pubs, showing the best fights and the best sporting events, but you get a free Asahi as well. Make sure to click that link in bio, like you said, Cass.
100%. And you'll want to look your best when you do it. Travel in style, look good, look like Ric Flair, look good, feel good, and dance all night long. And our friends at Manscaped are going to get you there. Me personally, I need to shear some of this disgusting neck beard, and who better than with our good friends at Manscaped with the Beard Hedger that they finally launched. Obviously, it comes with a 41mm titanium coated T-blade for a comfortable trim and blade durability. And then my favorite feature, the rotary zoom wheel with 20 precision length settings for a custom length trim. I've had trimmers and beard trimmers in the past where, yeah, you can have different lengths, but they're like little attachments and you got to rip them off each time and click them back on, and you have a whole bunch of them, and then you have like a drawer or a bag full of all sorts of different attachments. I don't like that. And now Manscaped's here with the Beard Hedger, and it's got 20 settings. That's more length settings than I've ever had in my life, and it's fantastic for someone like me who likes the sides a little bit shorter compared to the bottom of his beard, which I like a little bit longer. You can have exactly that. It's also got the advanced lift comb, which lifts flat-lying hairs for a smooth single-stroke trimming. It's waterproof, so you can just smash it out in the shower while you're getting cleaned up, and then not worry about having to clean any hair up because it all goes down the drain. You've got the 3-level battery low indicator LED, and like I said, it's waterproof. And if you get it in the Beard Hedger Pro kit, you get the Beard Hedger itself, the beard shampoo, beard conditioner, beard oil, beard balm, and the free gifts, the beard brush, beard comb, and beard scissors. How good is that? Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. Take your facial hair game to the next level thanks to Manscaped. And don't forget, don't get those cheap and nasty beard trimmers that are going to cost you millions of dollars in batteries and ultimately fail on you when they stop working in the most important times. Go with Manscaped and commit to having a beard hedger that will sort you out no matter what the situation is. And you guys can get 20% off and free shipping now with the code word submission. Not only do you support Manscaped, but Manscaped has supported Submission Radio for so many years. They support fighters and fighting organizations, and you can be a part of the Manscaped action today. Thanks to that code word submission, save some money and change your life forever, Cass.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's talk about the big rematch at the moment, man. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Dude, I wonder what is it going to be like for you preparing for the same guy so soon after you guys just beat him? And like, what did you see in Charles's last fight that you think may or may not make this a similar or different fight?
Well, I don't think it's the same fight because they never are. They're always different, And I think there's a more motivated Charles, highly motivated. And remember last time, Charles was talking about, I don't care. He takes me to the ground. Let him. So he didn't care anything about being taken to the ground. It was not a big concern whatsoever. And for this fight here, I don't think that he's going to be thinking that. He's not going to be thinking, go to the ground, I don't care. I think he's going to be thinking, I don't want to go to the ground if I can avoid it. If I go to the ground, I want to be on top. That's what I'm thinking. He's thinking. So Charles is a smart fighter. He's got good people behind him. They're gonna come in with a different game plan, and so are we. We definitely have to. We can't go out there and think, okay, we're going to catch him again with a strike and then follow it down. I mean, who knows how the fight's going to play out? I do know that obviously I favor Islam is going to come out on top because, what are you supposed to do when you're the coach? That my fighter isn't going to win? Of course we're going to win, and I really do expect him to win. But that's what we coaches are supposed to do. We're supposed to be behind our guys. We're supposed to believe in our guys because otherwise, why are we there? How can we encourage our guys if we don't believe in them? I believe in Islam. I believe he's the best lightweight there is right now, and I don't think no one's going to beat him. So that's just the way I feel.
You make a good point about Charles potentially maybe not being as eager to go on the ground, but also I think the same could be said about the striking, right? Because it's almost like the last couple of fights against Charles and against Volkanovski, people have expected not as much from Islam striking. And in both times, Islam surpassed expectations. In the Volkanovski fight, he hung with him on the feet. And then against Charles, he dropped him. The whole finishing sequence really started from Islam dropping Charles. Are you expecting a bit more, I don't want to say tentative because Charles, his stand-up just isn't tentative in general, but maybe a bit more respectful towards Islam striking? And because of that, do you think it might even, I don't know, potentially last longer than the last time around? Because Charles knows what he's in for.
It's hard to say whether it'll last longer, but for me, I always go 5 rounds anyway. So I want, my mind is thinking 5-round war because I don't want to think early. I want to think 5 rounds. So I want to think Islam's in there for 5 rounds, a ground, stand up. I'm expecting that we have to do everything. If you remember the first fight, we had to do both too. We had to work the ground too. we took him down, and he got back up, so it was the same thing in the first fight. So we'd have to prepare for both, but this is going to be a different motivated Charles too. This Charles is going to be more motivated than last time, because now he's no longer the champion; he's the challenger, and he'll be the underdog. So a lot of things he's got a lot of things to prove. He's going to want to prove everybody wrong, and it's not going to be up to Islam and our team to prove that we're still the king, and that's what we're going to prove, that Islam is still the king.
Man, I can't wait for the fight. Just before we wrap, Harv, I know you've mentioned, Khabib's obviously taking a break. He's spending time with his family. But is there a chance that we might see him at UFC 294, potentially joining you in the corner? I know it's going to be a big event.
No, I probably don't think so. I think he's made his thing, and he doesn't even want us talking about it, because everybody knows. Unless he changes it from him, you'll hear it from him, but you won't hear from me.
So he'll just come down. He'll just show up out of the crowd. He's here, everybody. Yeah. Maybe he wants to keep the element of surprise, which I appreciate about Khabib, because everybody would be excited to see him, but of course he's got a lot going on, and we understand that. And of course, this man right here, Javier Mendez, a lot going on as well. Big fights around the corner. Javier, thank you so much for joining us, man. You really put things into perspective after the fights this weekend, and can't wait to see what happens at the UFC 294. I'm sure we'll speak before then, but of course, it's always a pleasure and honor having you on the show, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.